fascinating. But then tell us about the rehab.
Oh, rehab. Rehab, so when I came back, when I hit bottom and I woke up in the emergency room,
right.
And then I spent a week in Cabrini Hospital, which no longer exists, in
right.
detox, and then I came home to Micah Hayes and to Mama Jean, and that was when I first saw her, and they had a little intervention ready to go. But I had already agreed to go to rehab, and we had it down to 3 choices, which was Hazleton, and I thought, ugh, Hazleton in Minneapolis in October, Minneapolis anytime.
Yeah.
I've never been to Minneapolis, but that was my thinking. And Silver Hill in Connecticut, and I thought, that'd be great. You know, I had visions of playing bridge with rich housewives who were addicted to Chardonnay pills.
Right.
And
I have a great Silver Hill story.
This place in Palm Springs, Michael's house, which was an all-male facility, and I thought, well, if I'm going to rehab, I might as well get laid. And so that's what I chose. and Mama Jean said when I chose it, she said, I should have known. And when I went, it was, at first I thought, look, this is my worst nightmare, because they were all straight guys. I was the only gay guy there, and it was like being back in PE gym class.
Right.
And I was like, because they played volleyball all the time.
They were like teenagers.
Yeah, and they were much younger than I. They were in their 20s and addicted to Oxycontin and pills and other stuff. And, you know, alcoholism was so 2001.
Right.
You know, and, but it was a nice setup. You know, it was right off of Indian Canyon, you know, the main drag in Palm Springs, and right next to Melvin's and all that. And after 2 weeks, when I got used to it, it was kind of fantastic. And then I didn't want to leave because it was safe, you know, because it was low security. You know, they would let you out into town a couple of times a week, and you could kind of go out and shop on your own and whatever, and then come back to the safety of the place. And
you weren't tempted to drink alcohol when you were out?
Some people did relapse, and they would test you when they would do random testing when you came back. There were a couple of heroin addicts that did cop, but I did not drink. But I was totally aware of like when I would walk down the drag, and there would be people dining al fresco, and out of my peripheral vision I could see Manhattan, Gimlet, Bass Ale. You know, I could pick up every drink that was on the table as I walked by there.
That's fascinating. I love the description of your first drink that you ever took. And it's like it would transported you from a hot place into like an air-conditioned, you know, universe, and you were 5 years old.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that is so amazing that you remember the taste of alcohol from when you were 5.
But I didn't remember it until after I got sober.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't. The memory didn't come back until after I'd been sober for a while. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't get drunk, and it wasn't a whole drink. It was my father's.
Right.
It must have been whiskey on the rocks or whiskey and soda, and I took a sip of it, and it was so bracing and exciting and thrilling, and you know, and I kept it in my mouth longer than any other liquid I'd ever had there before. And what I liked about it most was that it tasted like being an adult, you know, because I knew it was something that the adults drank, and I wanted that glamour. And to me, alcohol was the fast ticket to being an adult.
Well,
I did not want to spend any time being a child.
Yeah, it's kind of the underlying theme of the book is about your desire to be a glamorous grown-up, and that does seem to.
And I still have that desire.
Yeah.
But I don't have to have alcohol.
Right. That's so great. So how do you do it now?
Well, I wear vintage Lily Pulitzer. I wear Dolce & Gabbana flip-flops.
And then your mother died when you were 40? No.
She died 2009, so
a few.
Yeah.
Just a few years.
41-ish, something like that. Yeah, 5 years ago. I'm 42.
And how did that affect your continued recovery? I mean, it's just.
Do you mean did I want to drink over it, or do you mean?
Yeah.
No, I was. Well, actually, no, that's not true at all. I had relapsed a few times after rehab, And I never told her because I didn't want the wrath of her, or or the shame, really. And but I stayed in the program of recovery, and so I relapse. I fall off the wagon and then get right back on again, and then fall off, and when she died of Lewy body dementia, I think Alzheimer's, only weirder and worse. But when she was going through this, we didn't have a diagnosis, and we didn't know what was wrong with her, other than that she had some kind of dementia and she was out of her head. And the first time I saw her, I had about 7 or 8 months sober, and I was kind of still shaky. And my father had warned me that she may not know me when I went to this geriatric facility where she was.
How old was she at the time?
How old was she?
Yeah.
75.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I saw her, and I don't know if she knew me, and she said, at one point, she said, "Oh, with your pretty red hair, you almost remind me of," and then she trailed off, and everything she said that day lacked the one thing she never lacked, which was conviction. And when it was time to go, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is so awful, and I thought, ugh. And I turned away, and I felt her grab me in my arm in a vice grip, and I turned around. She goes, "You've been drinking." And I said, no, I haven't, and I hadn't. And she said, "Don't lie to me."
Oh my God.
And I said, "No, I haven't." I said, "Remember, Mama?" I said, "You took care of that. You don't have to worry anymore. You got me in rehab. We're done with that." She said, "All right, but promise me. Promise." And at that moment, I thought, okay, who would blame me if I drank over my mother losing her mind? And then there was another way to look at it. God damn it! You can't stay sober for her,
right.
Or for yourself,
right.
and do it for her.
Right.
And that was the strength I needed at that point to get out, to stay sober.
God damn it is what Jamie's mother would say, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that I've given away a crucial part of the book, but it's near the end. But that's really what got me over that final hump of staying sober, and I did it for her. And in the end, you have to, if you have this problem, you have to do it for yourself. You have to want it for yourself. But doing it for her got me through. And she died a few months later, December 14th, and then a couple of weeks later, I had a year sober.
Wow. That's incredible.
And I haven't had to drink since. Cocaine every now and then.
I know. Just kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. We were talking about this before. That's amazing. That was a joke. Tell us about Lewy body dementia. And why hadn't I heard of it until I read
No one's.
memoir?
That's the thing. No one's heard of it, and that's the biggest problem with the disease is awareness. It's the secondly most common diagnosed form of dementia after Alzheimer's. And Casey Kasem had it. Robin Williams. It was reported that he had been diagnosed with it. And its Lewy bodies are plaques that it's named after the man who discovered it, actually back in the turn of the last century, but are plaques that attach to the brain. And it, unlike Alzheimer's, it causes wild hallucinations, and you think that your worst nightmares are true, and then it's a bad disease, and it takes on a physical toll as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the body becomes almost arthritic, right. And some people can live with it for a long time and not live well. There's really not much you can do. I think there's some drugs, but nothing of significance. And fortunately for her decline was pretty rapid, because a lot of people can live with it for 5 years or longer.
And that sounds like
a nightmare for everybody. Yeah.
How did your dad react to? How did you tell your parents you were gay? And I mean, again, you're coming from this very Texan part of Texas where there were like 2 gay kids in town.
Yeah, but there were probably more than that.
There were probably more than that, but there weren't a bunch. And I mean, I want to know how you told your parents you were gay and how you got to that. And then I also want to ask you about the boy named Eric Munson in your book, who was your friend in second grade. So let's talk about those two things.
You know, people have said, "Oh my God, you grew up in this small town in Texas. It must have been horrible being gay." And I'm like, you know what? Not really. I don't think it was any worse than maybe if you grew up. I've heard horror stories of people who grew up in Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, Andrew
you know, it
Solomon
depends.
writes about how terrible it was to grow up gay in Manhattan.
I was not happy growing up in Beaumont, Texas, because I didn't want to be there. I have an appreciation for it now, but I just wanted to get out of small town. And my parents were also, they were conservative, but they were a lot of fun. They were big personalities, especially my mother. They loved the theater. They used to do community theater. They took me to the shows all the time.
Your mom took you to the Russian tea room.
Yeah, so they were kind of gay. Anyway,
That's great.
but they didn't. But they didn't. But they saw it as a, you know, they didn't want their child to be. They were also of that generation and of that time, and at that place. And I was actively homosexual. I knew early on, and then I was actually homosexual in high school. And by my freshman year, I was, you know, June was busting out all over, and I was in and my mother always wanted me to be a writer, and so I'd taken this playwriting class, and she was thrilled about that, and she wanted to see whatever I wrote, and so the first thing I wrote was this 5-minute scene about a gay guy and it was kind of a pre-Will and Grace, gay guy and a straight girlfriend, and I sent it to my parents, and I'm on the phone. My mother said, "Oh my God, we just love it. It's wonderful. I can't wait to see how it turns out, blah, blah, blah." And then there was this pause. She said, "Well, now you don't have tendencies like that, do you?" I was like, "Well, I'm kind of full-blown sodomite." But, and I said, "Yeah, I think I do." Earl, that's my father. "Get on the phone. Jamie has something to tell us." And my father remembered it differently. He remembered, and I have this in the book, because he remembered that he was already on the phone and that he was the one who asked the question, you know, "Do you have tendencies like that? Are you writing about yourself?" And I always remembered it as it's her, because she was always the one, she was the truth teller and the one to you know, be confrontational. And he may be right, because she had a blind spot about me where that was concerned. And I think he knew it before she did. And, you know, and she cried and said she should have known, you know, when I was dancing to "I Dream of Jeannie," you know, in front of the TV at age 5, doing Jeannie dance. And my brother before me had come out to her, you know, and when I was, I don't know, about 9 or 10 or maybe 12 when that happened, and she was crying, and I said, "What's wrong?" And she looked at me, she said, "Well, Jeffrey's gay." She said, "Do you know what gay is?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, then if you think you're gay, tell me now. I'll take you to a psychiatrist." I was like, "No, not me." I went back to my room where, you know, Maine was playing, Broadway cast of Maine was playing on the record. And, you know, so she wasn't happy about it, but she came to acceptance fairly quick. And then when she met Michael, after I moved to New York, and right after college, and met Michael, whom I've been with for 25 years, and having an audience with Mama Jean and Michael was really a big deal. We met at the Royalton, and it was like, you know, kiss the Pope's ring, and all that, and Michael passed with flying colors, and afterwards she pulled me aside. She said, "Well, he's really fine." And what she meant by really fine was he's upstanding, he's smart, he's great, and all that. And I said, "Good." And she said, "You know what? It's better that you're gay. I could have shared you with another woman."
God, I think that's so funny. God, that's hilarious. Yeah. Anyway.
So in the end, I think she was happy about it.
As the mother of 2 young boys, I almost understand that. I'm like, "Oh, don't bring home any dirty little whore." It's like, "Ah, my God, I just can't stand it." But anyway, whatever. I'm not wishing that. Or whatever.
Well, yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Either way.
Either way. But there is this amazing story in your book, and then you and I were just talking before we got here, and it's so sad. So tell me about this kid in second grade who was your buddy, and he was probably gay.
Yeah.
Because you guys spent hours on the phone after school. Oh,
yeah,
so
in first grade, I finally found my soulmate or I found the right kind of friend. And this boy I call Eric in the book, and he was beautiful, and he was